Hi everyone, welcome back to our SCOM Church channel. We're so glad you could join us here for our midweek encouragement. Last week, we had a scare at our home. I had just come inside from gardening, and after tucking our kids in bed, my husband called for me. I could tell by the tone of his voice that something wasn't right. He ran down the stairs as our puppy was barking. So I followed after him, and I could hear him yelling outside and telling me to call the police. As I ran back in to grab my phone, dialing 911, I had no idea what was going on. I figured there was a trespasser, and the operator told me to lock the doors and stay inside. But my husband is outside. As the operator tells me to get my husband back inside, I step outside to find him pinning a man down on our driveway. Apparently, he had attempted to enter our truck, then our home, and my husband had found him inside our minivan. Our kids had now come down to the main floor and were watching through the window their father holding down this man until he gestured for them to go back to their room. The first officer on scene missed and passed our house, and upon return, parked in front, without stepping out of the police cruiser. Finally, after a while, the officer yelled out from the car window that they were waiting for backup. When the second police cruiser arrived, I thought, I'm not taking any more chances, so I ran out to the street to wave them down. And this one came up so fast on our driveway, right up to my husband and the man he had pinned on the ground. When the second officer made the arrest, I felt relieved to run inside and console our kids. After calming them down, my 5-year-old asked, "Mommy, why is there an army of police outside our house?" In fact, there ended up being 6 police vehicles in front of our home. This was no doubt a disturbing incident, but we saw God's hand of protection in so many details. Our puppy barking, our security camera, the fact that I had just come inside and it was still bright outside. Our back door was locked, because things could have turned out quite differently had my husband caught him inside our home. That it was our van left unlocked. My husband's vigilance, and most importantly, that no one was hurt. It is a good reminder for us to be more careful and alert. Living in a rural area, away from the city, we don't experience much crime. But it was also a reminder to me that we can try to run away from crime, sin, or temptation, but without the power of God, we cannot defeat it. Colossians chapter 1, verses 15 to 17 talks about the preeminence of Christ. He is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of all creation. For by him all things were created, in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or rulers or authorities. All things were created through him and for him. And he is before all things, and in him all things hold together. He holds all things together. The cosmic glue that scientists are consistently discovering in particle matter, but cannot explain. I just started watching Star Wars. I know, I've been missing out. A child of the 80s and just haven't come around until now. But wow, I love all that talk about the Force, the devotion, the training, the understanding, the wisdom, the courage, the selflessness. It's awesome. And Jesus is the Force. He is the force in the universe that allows certain things to happen and restrains others from happening. The Word of God reveals this to us in no uncertain terms. In Hebrews chapter 1, verse 3, it reads, "He is the radiance of the glory of God and the exact imprint of his nature, and he upholds the universe by the word of his power." That is not only true of the physical universe, including our bodies and all that we are, but it is true of all the other forces and powers in the universe: physical, psychological, social, spiritual, whatever. He is in charge of them all. Matthew chapter 28, verse 18 states, "And Jesus came and said to them, 'All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me.'" Finally, reflecting on Pastor Vic's Sunday sermon, I was truly humbled by Jesus' meekness upon his treatment by the Jewish leaders at his arrest and subsequent 6 illegal trials. So different from the response of the man who was arrested at our home last week for breaking and entering. But how many of us would react similarly when treated with injustice? It's just amazing meditating on Jesus' self-control and humility. He is the force, and may it be our goal for it to be known of us believers that the force is strong around us and that we are one with the force. Thank you for joining us here on our SCOM channel for our midweek encouragement. And we look forward to seeing you here again next week, God willing.